most pressing questions of our time. How do we equip rural youth with the skills necessary to thrive in an ever-changing world? As digital shifts and climate disruptions transform every single sector, the urgency to reimagine skilling grows, especially at the grassroots level. This discussion will explore community-level skilling models, digital-first ecosystems, and what it takes to create dignified work in a changing economy. Leading this discussion is Nidhi Prabha. If I could have you on stage, please, Nidhi. Nidhi is a senior manager in capacity building with Sambodhi. She is a strong advocate for gender equity and creating innovative approaches to inclusive capacity building. She has played a role in the inception of Sehaj.ai, a WhatsApp-based AI chatbot designed to make AI literacy simple. We are pleased to have you with us. The stage is yours, Nidhi.
A very warm good afternoon to all of you. Thank you to my first, panelists and presenters, Manmeet, who set the right stage in terms of, telling us where the disparity and fault lines are. And in this session, we would like to kind of, pivot to the next critical discussion, which is kind of covering the entire spectrum, from education to entrepreneurship. So when we are talking about future of work, how is it that we are looking at each and every end of this spectrum? So we on our panel have distinguished speakers who are going to be covering this spectrum, so to speak, which I'm talking about. But before calling them on, just to set the stage a little bit with respect to some data points, we often hear of this that, India is at the brink of, or has been rather, I would say, at the brink of demographic dividend, so to speak, with, more than or nearing 30% of our population being in the, the classic work age between 15 to 29. But when we dig deeper into this data set and we try to see and talk about, how digital access has been, how digitally prepared this population is, so to speak, especially when we intersect it with the, the rural lens, we see a different picture in the sense that most of, like 27.5% as per the latest NSSO data talks about, is that only 27.2% of this rural youth have basic digital skills. And when we gender that, because that is a lens that I would like to keep throughout this panel, when we engender this data, we see that only 6% perhaps of rural women have that basic digital skill set. So in this kind of context wherein so many disruptions, so to speak, are happening in the age of this new epoch of AI and automation, it is important to kind of, look at what are these critical gaps with respect to the entire spectrum, from education to data-based evidence research or development sector work, to policy, and then, to social entrepreneurship. So with that, I would like to welcome my panelists. Firstly, with Dr. Harivansh Chaturvedi. He has been in the, an educator for over 3 decades, and currently is the Director General of IILM University, New Delhi. Sir, we would want to welcome you to the stage, please. Next with us, we have Deepak Maheshwari, who is the Senior Policy Advisor for Center for Social and Economic Progress, with over 2 decades leading in public policy with various, places like Microsoft, MasterCard, etc. He's worked extensively across South Asia, ASEAN, etc. Welcome you to the stage, sir. We also have with us Kultar Singh, who is the co-founder and CEO for Sambodhi Research and Communications. He has been a thought leader in the development space with, evidence-based policy and impact evaluation. And as the co-founder and CEO of Sambodhi, he also leads, various kind of enterprises that we have had at Samodhi, like in Nimli.ai, which stands at the confluence of not only research data, but also, it's very relevant at this stage when we're talking about AI, automation and all of that. So welcome Kuldar to the stage. And lastly, we have with us Yogesh, who is the founder of Even Cargo, which is India's first women-only e-commerce logistics company, and is bridging a major gap, I would say, in one of the most male-dominated sectors, which is transport and logistics. So we would welcome Yogesh as well. Can you all? Thank you. So firstly, I would like to start with Dr. Chaturvedi, because we are talking about, as I said, this spectrum. So, according to you, what perhaps would you say are the, with respect to education and training versus employment, this gap, what would you say that if there are some potential matches or mismatches between what would we need to kind of bring the rural youth, relevant for this disruption, so to speak?
So let me begin with one warning to all of us. That is, if we have not resolved the mismatch between the aspirations of rural youth, I'm not saying that aspirations of urban youth are not important, but rural youth outnumber the urban youth. If we do not deal with their aspirations, surely India will miss the bus of demographic dividend. It can turn into demographic disaster. Because government jobs are shrinking, AI is also creating a lot of disruptions in the job market. Rich, educated, smart people will get a lot of benefits from AI revolution, but surely poor people will not be benefited because of the digital disconnect. I would like to say that our higher education is not creating job-ready young people. And it is very critical in the hinterland. Higher education has spread in all local corners of the country. Now we have more than 50,000 colleges, 1,200 universities, and although education is considered not for profit, but surely it is for profit. So colleges are everywhere. Degrees are easily available without going to the college. Just go and take admission, give examination. Not necessarily you should go and attend the classes. There may be teachers, there may not be teachers. So, rural youth is also in this race that getting a degree will give them a job. But even all the young people from hinterland, rural India are not in the higher education system as such. Only 28% students, youth, are enrolled in higher education, and rest of 72% are still not getting access of higher education. What about the skill training? For last 25 years, I am hearing a lot about that skill training will solve this dilemma, and those who are not getting higher education and degrees, they will get a job by undergoing some skill training program. But I, at grassroots level, because I have been traveling a lot in our country, meeting a lot of educationists, and also those who are in the development sector, I find that it has not delivered. At least higher education has delivered some of the bright people for the industry and for government services, but skill education, skill training is highly disorganized. It is not available everywhere. It is mostly about agriculture related skill training. It is not about the new emerging areas that will determine the job market in next 10, 15, 20 years. Even now, there are jobs for which people are not available. Young people are not available. Like jobs of plumbers, jobs of electricians, drivers for automatic cars, e-cars, so many emerging areas, green energy, solar energy. We are having lot of shortage for the skilled, trained manpower. Our population is, a big number of people are aging. Big part of our population is under senior citizen category and they need support. We do not have trained support system providers. So I am of the view that skill training is needed in our country. Only method is that we have to use technology. But there should be a very collaborative, massive effort, a strong collaboration between industry, between government, between social enterprise, development sector. What is happening that under the garb of skill training, lots of fake institutions are getting big money as funds and they are not delivering. It is going in the pockets of the people who are running those fake colleges. Number of fake colleges, fake universities also. So, we are going to face big disaster. Recently, economists in an annual number, they have reported that for few thousand ticket collectors jobs in Indian Railway, around 3 crore applicants applied. Who are they? They are mostly the rural youth, or they are from the small tier 2 or tier 3 cities and towns. Because they do not know. They know only one thing, that government job or railway job is best thing in the life. So, in keeping in mind that lot of disruptions are likely to happen in the industry, in government sector, in society, and technology is disrupting everything and jobs. There will be shrinkages of jobs, repetitive jobs will go, and highly skilled AI trained people will be required. I think we cannot expect that the most inefficient system of skill training in our country, because it is funded by government, delivered by NGOs or the higher education institutions or other social organizations. So in this scenario, there is only one hope, that we cannot provide higher education to all, we cannot provide degree to all, and those who are degree holders, they cannot get job, all of them. There will be a big problem of giving a decent, respectful job to all the young Indians. The problem will become more and more accentuated. It will become more critical. And only thing is that we have to identify the skill sets which will be required tomorrow, in future. We have to build a scenario that how the industry will be run, how the health sector will expand, how education will be delivered. Now it is not necessary that people should go to a school or people should go to a university for getting the higher education or school education. Education can be delivered anywhere, anytime by the use of technology. We have mobile. We have given mobile to our youth, and 80% of them are having mobiles. Many of them are having smartphones, but they are misusing it. The very disgusting pastime among the youth, particularly rural India, is creating reels. In one of the serial, you might have seen Dupaiya, two characters, young people, they are all the time busy in the village, going here and there and just creating reels, and they are trying to make them bloggers or opinion makers, and they are using technology just to create a false image. You must have also seen one serial in any OTT platform, Jamtara village. In one of the big villages of Jamtara, Jharkhand, most of the students, most of the young people, they are working with tricksters, fraudulent people, and they are busy in doing the cyber crime. You will find these kind of examples in very near to Delhi, in Mewat area. There are villages I know from Gurgaon to up to Mathura, Bharatpur. You will find villages. All the young boys are busy in doing these cyber criminal work. So when we have not given them positive way of developing their career, they are busy and they are doing these kind of things. So I would like to just politely submit that skill training has unlimited potential to engage all the 40 crore rural youth. They can create stability in our society, and if they are not given right kind of skill training, they can become vagabond, they can be involved in negative activities. Why sometimes, please don't mind, some of the religious yatras from south to north to west to east, you will find crores of youth, they are on a yatra. Some religious yatra, I will not name it, because anybody can object on it that I am castigating or putting some aspersions, but why are they doing it? For 10, 15 days, 20 days, 30 days, 40 days, they are on a yatra. If you go to south, you will find black dresses, people are on yatra. So they are unemployed mostly, they are from rural areas, and their pilgrimage is sponsored by some rich people, powerful politicians with some purpose. And they disrupt the whole system. During the Shravan, from Delhi to Haridwar, all roads are blocked, school colleges are closed because they are on yatra. So let us give them some positive way, positive channel to learn new skills, emerging skills which may be of relevance in future. And future of work will decide their destiny. If they are not aligned with the future of work, what they will do.
Thank you, Dr. Chaturvedi. I think not only kind of, you highlighted that tailored skill development is what we need, but I think you also covered a range of issues perhaps that we, or mostly that stem from structural issues that then surface rather in the forms of maybe because of there is the glaring unemployment rate that we all know of. But because of these, there is a mismatch, so to speak, and which is why, the participation, I just mentioned about religious participation and active and robust participation, that all stems from that kind of, mismatch in terms of what employability skills, like what skills are such in today's time that make you more employable. And we see, and we have research on this, when we see that, more than 40% of the people who are graduating, they don't translate into the jobs that actually their vocation is in. So that's also something that we need to be mindful of, especially when we're talking about rural youth. We already kind of have layers of social stratification and disadvantages. They are marginalized on various parameters, be it digital access, and today in the time of where we have that kind of system that kind of came in and catalyzed in the time of COVID, but where e-digital platforms are so many for education and skills, how that can be leveraged better. And that actually helps me to segue to you, Kultar, because I know of the kind of work that we are doing with respect to how to leverage AI better to kind of bridge this gap, so to speak. So if you would want to talk about the kind of work that through Nimbly and Sehaj Sambodhi is doing.
Hello. Yeah. So thank you, Nidhi, and thank you, sir, for setting the context. I think technology is a double-edged sword, so I think it depends upon, if I would say us, that how we can use it. But I think whether we like it or not, every one of us, specifically also who are in this room, whenever we are actually using any digital platforms or we are leaving digital footprint, our actions are guided by AI. Whether it is, if I would say your recent preferences, what will you buy, everything, if I would say, is driven by AI at the back end. So we may not actually be aware of it, but it's driven. So why not actually, if I would say, use it to our advantage? So AI is going to be here. That's the reality. Now, if you look at what actually AI has done, it has immense potential, specifically for rural youth. But what is also important to know, that it also has created a digital divide. Now, every one of this room, or if I would say in urban India, is going through some sort of skilling with respect to the data and AI, a different form. But that's not available specifically to the rural youth. That's one. I think that is something which is very important. Now, what has actually happened, where there is an immense potential of data and AI, and data, tech and AI, if I would say, if you look at this three trinity, to transform the skill sector, if I would say, in rural India. One, the availability of smartphone and even access of smartphone, if I would say, with women has increased substantially. That's one. Second, and the most important data point, we are one of the lowest, in fact, the lowest country in terms of, if I would say, cost in terms of the data use. And thanks to, if I would say, this kind of telecom revolution and the competitive age. Third, and most importantly, if you look at it, with AI, and I think with a lot of platforms, what it actually happened is it has made even the rural youth or some of the populace, if I would say, which is not tax savvy, it has actually enabled them to start using AI. I will give you an example. Earlier, when there were not smartphones, it was very difficult. It was not even thinkable to use for some of these. Now, you could see, if I would say, in rural India, in, if I would say, villages, farmers just speaking, if I would say, or voice to text saying, बीज के लिए अच्छी किस्में बताएं, नज़दीक मंडी बताएं. I've seen my father, who is a farmer, actually, if I would say, doing it, looking for, if I would say, apple varieties. Actually, if I would say, talking in the phone, if I would say, कि सेब की वो बीज जो वेस्टर्न यूपी या पश्चिमी उत्तर प्रदेश में ग्रो कर सकती है. एंड आई थिंक व्हाट एक्चुअली हैपेंस इज, नाउ यू हैव वॉइस टू टेक्स्ट, यू डोंट हैव टू टाइप, एंड इट गिव्स यू ऑप्शन. Now, earlier, if you look at it, if I would say, Google used to give us a lot of pages. Now, with Google Gemini, if I would say, AI tool, what it actually does it even better. So, you don't have to go through all the pages to actually search which is more relevant, which is less relevant. It gives you a summary right at the top. So, now, if you have a smartphone, you use voice to text, and you have a summary, I think you are reasonably guided to certain, if I would say, videos, messages, even looking at the nearest mandi, or if I would say the seeds, even if I would say using some of the tools which can help you, if I would say, enhance your, if I would say, product. So, one, there is an immense potential. Second, are we actually trying to skill rural youth, and also, if I would say, some of these micro entrepreneurs in rural India to use AI to our advantage? No. So, if we look at, if I would say, there are a lot of courses in higher education which is available for data science, 6 months, 3 months from IIT, ISBs on using AI, and specifically how to use AI. But it's not there specifically for rural youth. So, it has created, if I would say, a greater digital divide in terms of use and application of AI. Now, what we can do? What we have done, if I would say, with someone for this, we have created a WhatsApp-based chatbot which is called Sahaj AI. Sahaj means simple AI. Why WhatsApp? Because it's very difficult to popularize and then ensure that an app is used. WhatsApp is there with everyone, that's one. Second, what is important to change is we need to actually use vernacular content. So what we have available as of now is there is a lot of generic content which has no significance to rural youth. They are not interested to know what is Google Gemini, or if I would say Microsoft Copilot. Or for that matter, if I would say, what is dysentery and how AI can actually predict. No. What they are interested to know, how AI can help me, if I would say, in making my job easier. To give an example, a rural entrepreneur or a micro entrepreneur in Banaras, if I would say, or if I would say in Muradabad, would be interested if AI can simply help me in create a product portfolio, upload it, connect to, if I would say, sort of an micro buying site, and link me to the buyer. If it can help me, if I would say it's a tremendous, if I would say leap of faith, and tremendous, if I would say potential for me. Or for that matter, if I would say frontline worker. We all know Anganwadi workers spend 25 to 30% of their time in just filling 16 registers or the indicators they have, even the digital tools. Can data tech help them simplify creating some of those micro, I would call, if I would say micro uh, tools which actually help them automate filling some of these indicators, right? That's the application. Third, can we actually use some of these contextual vernacular image, how FPOs or farmers can use? There are a lot of, if I would say, tools available, so how they can use it. For even if I would say an SHG members, how they can actually use AI or data tech tools to create bookkeeping and accounting. So some of these schools which are required at that level is very important to make them so ED. Second, I think as mentioned that AI data provides a lot of skills. What we are saying is reskilling and upskillings are both required. So there are million use which can actually empower them to start using some of these basic tools and which can propel them into the job market, which is specifically in tier 2, tier 3 cities. Even if I would say, if you are actually talking about gig economy, if you are talking about, if I would say, looking at some of these erstwhile BPOs and KPOs in tier 2, tier 3 cities, if you know some of these basic data tech tools and even the basic trainings, you are employable. So I think both from using it to actually make your job or work easy. Second, using this specifically by micro entrepreneurs to make them market ready and access. Third, also to actually empower rural youth to be them job ready specifically in AI data. So we have already talked it, I think last 20 years we have talked about, if I would say, traditional skills, which is, if I would say, which is relevant. I'm not saying it's not relevant, but there has been too much emphasis on the traditional skills, which is on, let us say, if I would say, lathe, manufacturing and other skills. What has actually missed, if I would say, is this intersection of data, tech and AI. It's always, I think, we have always construed is an elitist concept that data and AI, if as a part of job, is only relevant to the urban youth and it's not relevant, if I would say, for rural youth. We have not created, if I would say, local vernacular content, if I would say, the content provided by Google and all these, if I would say, big college or universities are all English, if I would say, and too tech heavy. So that is something, I think it's a time, ripe time to actually create that kind of a disruption, and it could be win-win situation for both someone who is actually imparting that AI data skills and also for rural youth. So I will actually, if I would say, just space that, I think it's a ripe time for rural youth to catch up, and I think to be at pace specifically with the urban youth to ride this wave. And I think, if I would say, not scared, if I would say, from the general perception that AI definitely will take some job, but it will also create many more. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Kuldar. I think rightly said that, while a lot of focus in traditional skill training used to be on traditional skill sets, and that's what kind of the research also shows us that, now by 2030 predictions say that 39% or more of such jobs would become obsolete, but also because of the disruptions that have been brought in by technology, AI, automation, all of it, there is also a lot of potential of, and that has also been kind of indicated of how many jobs that will create. So to kind of bring our rural youth and women at par with what the job market would have for all of us, to bring that equity with respect to rural youth, it would be important to create such tools that, like Sahaj, in which we are training beneficiaries, specifically focusing on SHG women, rural youth, farming communities, etc., in bilingual modes. So your training modules, as you said, are in Hindi and in English, so that you can have bite-sized module learning experience for a very over a very low bandwidth platform such as WhatsApp. So I think innovation in also how are we planning the reach of our trainings, so to speak, to penetrate the rural community, the rural ecosystem overall. So from there, it helps me to kind of also, because you spoke about, Kuldar, you spoke about how, the gig economy and the informalization of work in this phase of disruptions. Uh, we talk about, I would like to move to Yogesh because, from the social enterprise point of view, I felt that, what the work that Even Cargo has done is really remarkable with respect to focusing only on, harnessing that potential in a very, very male-dominated sector. As we all know, transport and I would say even green energy that is now, the next big thing, and has a lot of potential for jobs. But then there are a lot of gender gaps, and that we all know. The data shows that traditional transport and energy sectors have very, very skewed presence of women. So with Even Cargo, I would say, and I'm particularly interested in you to kind of talk to us through your learnings of how you kind of thought about harnessing this potential of women as, the primary frontline transport workers, which is not a common discussion, I would say, or even a point of discussion 5-6 years ago. So from that lens, what has been the learnings that you've had? What was the thought process perhaps behind Even Cargo? And from there, we would like to hear how that can be further, scaled up in the rural context. So over to you.
Thank you, Nidhi. Thank you, everyone. So, Even Cargo was not started with a vision to create a logistics company in the first place. 2016, I was thinking, how can you make Delhi a safer place for women? So that was the idea. And then the idea of access to public space came. Like in Delhi or any metro you take, you see, access to public space is different for both the genders. And the access to public space, I'm no expert in gender, but in my understanding, access to public space defines the perception of a city, the safety perception of the city. So if you have more women accessing public spaces, you would feel that the city is safer. And so that's how we thought of starting an organization which would help women to increase their share of the public space. The second objective was, again, nothing to do with skill set, but the second objective was to show gender equity in action. So when we say gender norms getting challenged, you usually talk about having conferences, having workshops, writing few papers, which are absolutely important. But at the same time, if the city has to truly become safer, then the perception of a rickshawala, of a street vendor, of a bus conductor need to be challenged. And that can only happen if they see something happening in action. They cannot sort of leave their livelihood and attend a conference or a workshop. That's not possible for them. So we thought that whatever we do need to challenge gender norm in action, and that's how we thought of entering into logistics. Because 2016, when we started, the idea of delivery was very much synonymous with boys. So you would say delivery boy, even now it's still prevalent. So we thought that you are kind of denying 50% of the population their right to a livelihood because you are giving the entire profession to one particular gender. Not consciously, but that was happening in action as well. So that was the second part. Now our learning in the past 10 years have been around how do you create employment opportunities around the industries. For us, we are present in urban India and semi-urban India. So suppose Jaipur, Ajmer or Udaipur would be, Chhindwara also we have started operations. So that is the smallest place where our operations are going on right now. So for us, it has always been creating employment opportunities where it's available. So we could have gone with, say, Amazon or just Flipkart, but we have onboarded more logistics company. Because if you create employment opportunities in the vicinity of their residence, there is more likelihood of them joining the job and second, retaining in that job. So from that perspective, it was important for us to onboard multiple e-commerce companies so that we can provide them employment in their vicinity with any logistics company which is available. So one is obviously industry, so the skill development was done around industry. The second learning for us has been that it is more important for people who are entering the workforce to be So sort of handhold. It's very important to handhold those people because so we have only been working in the e-commerce space. We have not ventured into food delivery or quick commerce. One reason is that women are still entering in this sector. E-commerce space give them a place to go to. There is a sense of belongingness when it comes to work because they know that they will be going to a place, they will have a place to keep their bag, they have a place to use washroom. So that ways we know that we are providing them with a sense of belongingness. But with food delivery, the moment you get out of your house, you get on your bike, you turn on your phone and you are on the go. And we know the state of affairs in terms of the public toilets that are available in our cities. Obviously, it's not possible for women to kind of use those. And if that is not available, it is very inhumane to kind of expect them to carry on such work. Same with quick commerce industry. We don't know where our women would be going. We don't know the safety kind of environment in that particular space. And lastly, majority of these dark stores from where these quick commerce companies operate are located in areas which are little dense because they want to pay lower rent, isn't it? So from that perspective, it's again impossible to kind of deploy our women there. So the second learning for us would be to create employment opportunities which help the entry-level worker access livelihood and stay there for a longer time.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, very inspiring to kind of hear the thought process and the learnings, because more often than not, when we think about gendering the discussion, we often, don't factor into the mode of reproduction, which is, I think, what we were trying to say, that how do you create livelihood opportunities for women that balances their participation that we are expecting in the mode of production, matlab, the livelihood, whatever work that the gig economy, informal economy throws, but also factoring in that how, the free range that we speak of, like how far can you travel from your residence to your place of work plays a huge factor, especially when we look at it from the point of view of gender, because there is there is a lot of responsibility of care, of all of that. So I think having that kind of a tailored lens at the get-go is what I could take from your learnings, that it is important to not only think about how to scale employability, but also to scale inclusive, that having that inclusive lens at the get-go, at the beginning of designing such interventions or thinking about such practices of bringing more women into the work space. So from there, I think it would be now to kind of, prudent to go into with the policy ecosystem, sir, with you, Deepak, sir, that how do you think, given that, over your vast experience of shaping the digital policy ecosystem, what do you think would, if I have to, probe you to ask, to give us that one, or not one, but perhaps the most critical policy intervention that would be needed to bring this entire discussion and kind of have all of these various tiers of, that spectrum and the continuum that we were talking about from the lens of rural youth and rural women.
Okay. So when we talk about rural youth and employment, skilling, etc., and of course within the context of digitalization, I think it's important for us to understand what has been the journey of digitization in this country. आज की डेट में सबको पता है सबमरीन केबल्स आते हैं, चेन्नई में है, कोचीन में है, मुंबई में ऑफ कोर्स ज़्यादातर हैं, और वहाँ से ज़्यादातर डेटा हमारे देश से आता है, जाता है. दुनिया में सबसे पहला सबमरीन केबल 1850 में बना था. इंग्लैंड और फ्रांस के बीच में 21 माइल का जो सबसे छोटी उनकी डिस्टेंस है वहाँ पर लगा था. ज़्यादा दिन नहीं चला. किसी बिजनेसमैन ने न्यूयॉर्क में सोचा, व्हाई डोंट वी कनेक्ट फ्रॉम न्यूयॉर्क टू इंग्लैंड. ठीक है, काम शुरू हो गया. 1858 में देयर वाज अ केबल बिटवीन न्यूयॉर्क एंड इंग्लैंड, and it was at that point of time also feted as the 8th wonder of the world. Interestingly, ज़्यादा लोगों को पता नहीं है, बाहर भी नहीं, हमारे देश में भी नहीं। हिंदुस्तान में भी 1858 में सबमरीन केबल लग गया था बिटवीन मद्रास एंड कोलंबो, सेम टाइम, सेम ईयर। 1870 में वी हैड अ केबल ऑल द वे फ्रॉम बॉम्बे वाया अफगानिस्तान, सुएज कैनाल को यूज़ किया गया ऑल द वे अप टू लंदन। तो कैलकाटा से लंदन, जो पहले अगर हॉर्स बैक पे कोई जाता था, अगर जाता theoretically it would take about a month, and somebody goes by ship from Calcutta to London, they had to go via the Horn of Africa those days before the Suez Canal, and that would take about 3 months time. वो पूरा टाइम 28 मिनट रह गया। तो 28 मिनट और 1 महीना अगर आप कैलकुलेशन करोगे 1500 गुना होता है। तो 1500 एफिशिएंसी बढ़ी थी, 1500 गुना, नॉट परसेंटेज, 1500x। और ये काम किया क्यों गया था? क्योंकि 1857 की खबर लंदन में कई महीनों के बाद पहुंची, तो सब हिल गए कि कुछ करना चाहिए सो दैट हमको रियल टाइम न्यूज़ मिले। तो एक केबल लगाया गया, और केबल लगाया किसने? 4 जर्मन भाइयों ने, जिनको आज के डेट में हम सीमेंस के नाम से जानते हैं। तो बहुत सारी चीज़ें इस तरीके की हुई हैं। हिंदुस्तान में इंटरनेट सर्विस स्टार्ट हुई 15 अगस्त 1995 में। VSNL उस समय कंपनी थी, आज की डेट अर्नब फ्रॉम टाटा ग्रुप, सो अभी टाटा कम्युनिकेशंस है, 2002 में प्राइवेटाइजेशन हो गया उसका, लेकिन उसके पहले इट वाज VSNL, विदेश संचार निगम लिमिटेड, सरकारी कंपनी थी। उन्होंने स्टार्ट की 6 शहरों में। 7वां शहर कौन सा बना? 6 ऑब्वियसली बड़े शहर थे, 7वां शहर कौन सा बना? लखनऊ। और उसका एक कारण था, एंड दैट इज पॉलिटिकल। उस समय बेनी प्रसाद वर्मा वाज मिनिस्टर। 15 अगस्त 1996 के करीब 1 हफ्ते पहले नेस्कॉम के फाउंडर प्रेसिडेंट उस समय थे देवांग मेहता, ही इज़ नो मोर, ही पास्ड अवे कपल ऑफ डिकेड्स बैक। सो देवांग वेंट टू हिम, शोड हिम अ वेबसाइट कि देखिए सर, ये इसको इंटरनेट बोलते हैं। उसमें उनका गांव दिखाया, उसमें लखनऊ यूनिवर्सिटी दिखाई जहाँ के वो नेता रहे थे, लखनऊ के यूपी के चीफ मिनिस्टर का ऑफिस भी दिखाया गया, वो कुर्सी भी जो शायद उनकी तब भी एस्पिरेशन थी, शायद अभी भी है, लेकिन कभी मिली नहीं उनको उस समय तक। तो ये सब दिखाया गया और उनको बताया गया कि दुनिया भर, उनको ये नहीं बोला कि दुनिया भर में, उनको ये बोला गया इस समय 50 लाख लोग आपको ये देख सकते हैं। उस समय दे वर अबाउट 5 मिलियन इंटरनेट यूज़र्स ग्लोबली 96 में। तो उनका अगला सवाल था, ये लखनऊ में ये सुविधा उपलब्ध है? उन्होंने कहा नहीं, लखनऊ में तो नहीं है। तो उन्होंने तुरंत फ़ोन किया VSNL के CMD मिस्टर BK सिंघल को। उनको बोला गया 15 अगस्त को हम लखनऊ पहुंच रहे हैं, उद्घाटन की व्यवस्था करिए, इंटरनेट का उद्घाटन करना है। और 15 अगस्त 1996 में वास्तव में इंटरनेट का उद्घाटन हो गया वहाँ पर। 15 जनवरी 98 को गवर्नमेंट ने अनाउंस की एक पॉलिसी इंटरनेट के लिए प्राइवेट कंपनीज़ को। आई वॉज वर्किंग इन अ कंपनी दैट यूज टू हैव अ टेलीकॉम लाइसेंस होता था इस देश में, ईमेल के लिए टेलीकॉम लाइसेंस अलग से होता था। आई वॉज वर्किंग इन वन सच कंपनी। और 16 जनवरी को आई फाइल्ड अ पिटिशन अगेंस्ट दैट पॉलिसी इन लेस देन 24 आवर्स इन TRA विच वॉज अ कॉलेजियल बॉडी दोज डेज। 17 फरवरी को हमको स्टे मिल गया TRA से। खैर, लेकिन उसी साल अच्छी एक बात ये हुई कि मई में अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी जब समय प्राइम मिनिस्टर थे तो उन्होंने एक IT टास्क फोर्स बनाई और उन्होंने 4 जुलाई को 108 रिकमेंडेशंस दी। 25 जुलाई को वो रिकमेंडेशंस कैबिनेट ने कंसीडर करके थोड़ा बहुत चेंज करके नोटिफाई कर दी। उसके बेसिस पर 6 नवंबर 98 को पहला ISP लाइसेंस दिया गया। 12 नवंबर को एक और कंपनी ने लाइसेंस लिया विच वॉज नोन सत्यम इन्फोवे लिमिटेड। सत्यम कंप्यूटर सर्विसेज लिमिटेड की सब्सिडरी थी वो, जो उसके फाउंडर was quite tainted in 2009 after his confession, and that company launched the services in Hyderabad on 22nd November that month. उस समय पूरे हिंदुस्तान में करीब 30,000 इंटरनेट के कनेक्शंस थे, 30,000। आज की डेट में TRA का अगर हम डेटा देखते हैं तो 80-90 करोड़ की संख्या बताई जाती है। हालांकि उतने यूज़र्स नहीं हैं, कनेक्शंस हैं, यूज़र्स नहीं हैं, यूज़र्स कम हैं। अब मेरे पास अगर 2 मोबाइल हैं और एक घर पे कनेक्शन है, आई एम स्टिल 1 यूज़र। ओके, अब उस दृष्टि से अगर हम देखें कि गांव में आज डेट में क्या हो रहा है। 1994 में हमारी पहली टेलीकॉम पॉलिसी आई मई में। उसमें बोला गया 1997 तक हर गांव में टेलीफोन लग जाएगा। आज तक नहीं लगा है, हर गांव में आज तक टेलीफोन नहीं पहुंचा है। उसके बाद 1999 में पॉलिसी आई, 2004 में हमारी ब्रॉडबैंड पॉलिसी आई, 2012 में फिर एक नेशनल टेलीकॉम पॉलिसी आई, 2018 में फिर आई नेशनल डिजिटल कम्युनिकेशन पॉलिसी, 2019 में नेशनल ब्रॉडबैंड मिशन आया, 2025 जनवरी में फिर से नेशनल ब्रॉडबैंड मिशन 2.0 लॉन्च किया गया इस साल। और बीच में हमारे यहाँ एक चीज़ और हुई, वो ये हुआ कि 99 में जब एनटीपी बनी तो उन्होंने बोला कि देयर शुड बी, उस समय क्या हो रहा था, प्राइवेट कंपनीज को लाइसेंस दे दिए गए थे, बट दे वर नॉट इन ए पोजीशन टू पे द लाइसेंस फी जो उन्होंने खुद बीट की थी, ना वो अपना रूरल रोल आउट का ऑब्लिगेशन मीट कर रहे थे। तो एक रेडिकल एक थॉट प्रोसेस आया, दो चीज़ें उसमें आई। पहली बात तो ये कि फिक्स लाइसेंस फी के बजाय रेवेन्यू शेयर हो जाएगा, विच इज़ स्टिल कंटिन्यूइंग। और दूसरी एक चीज़ बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट हुई कि यूनिवर्सल सर्विस ऑब्लिगेशन फंड एक बनाया जाए। तो ये था कि गांव में ये लोग खुद अपने आप नहीं जा रहे हैं, कोई बात नहीं, लेट देम कंट्रीब्यूट 5%, उस समय 5% से स्टार्ट हुआ था, अब चेंज हो गए हैं परसेंटेजेस, लेकिन ये था कि उतना रेवेन्यू वो अपना कंट्रीब्यूट करेंगे और एक फ़ंड होगा, इट विल बी नॉन लैप्सेबल फंड। उस फंड को यूज़ किया जाएगा कि रूरल, रिमोट और हिली एरियाज़ में, स्मॉल आइलैंड्स एक्सेट्रा, जहाँ पर कोई वैसे कॉमर्शियली वायबल नहीं है सर्विसेज, वहाँ पर हम इसको यूज़ करेंगे। 2002 में वो स्टार्ट हो गया, एक्ट भी अमेंड हो गया। लेकिन एक्ट में उस समय पहली बार अमेंडमेंट में क्या हुआ, उस एक्ट में अमेंडमेंट हुआ कि ये यूएसओ विल बी यूज्ड ओनली फॉर फिक्स लाइन टेलीफोन, दैट्स इट, और किसी चीज़ के लिए नहीं। अच्छी बात ये हुई कि 3 साल के अंदर कोर्स करेक्शन किया गया कि वो केवल फिक्स लाइन के बजाय उसमें मोबाइल और इंटरनेट को भी डाल दिया गया 2006 के अमेंडमेंट में। और उसके बाद से आज की डेट में लेकिन क्या हालत हुई को ये, आज की डेट में यूएसओ फंड का जो अनस्पेंट कॉर्पस है, अनस्पेंट मैं बोल रहा हूँ, जो एक्यूमुलेटेड इस समय बचा हुआ पैसा है, 80,000 करोड़ से ऊपर का है यूएसओ फंड के। आप उनकी वेबसाइट पर जाके देख सकते हैं। अब उसका नया नाम हो गया डिजिटल भारत निधि 2023 के लॉ के अनुसार। तो अब 80,000, और वो क्यों हो गया है, क्योंकि हर साल हमारा जितना कलेक्शन हो रहा है यूएसओ फंड में, खर्चा हम उससे कम कर रहे हैं। खर्चा वो सही हो रहा है गलत हो रहा है मैं उस पर अभी नहीं बोल रहा हूँ, मैं केवल ये कह रहा हूँ कि जितना हम कलेक्शन कर रहे हैं उससे कम खर्च कर रहे हैं, तो ऑब्वियसली हर साल बढ़ता जाएगा। केवल एक साल हुआ है, 20 साल से ज़्यादा हो गए हैं यूएसओ फंड में, जिस साल हमारा एक्सपेंडिचर वाज, डिसबर्समेंट वाज मोर देन द कलेक्शन, केवल एक बार हुआ है। तो 80,000 करोड़ रुपया भी रखा हुआ है उसमें। अब डिजिटल भारत निधि में थोड़ा सा उसको और एक्सपेंड कर दिया स्कोप, कि उसको आप स्टार्टअप्स को दे सकते हैं, उससे आप टेक्नोलॉजी डेवलपमेंट कर सकते हैं वगैरह, कुछ और चीज़ों के लिए भी यूज़ कर सकते हैं अपार्ट फ्रॉम एक्सेस। लेकिन एक बेसिक प्रॉब्लम अभी तक सॉर्ट आउट नहीं हुई है, वो है कि हमारा जितना भी यूएसओ फंड की मैकेनिज्म रही है, तो 2009-10 में गवर्नमेंट ने एक स्कीम बनाई, हम लोग भी उसमें इन्वॉल्व थे, ऐसी बात नहीं कि प्राइवेट सेक्टर भी इन्वॉल्व नहीं था, कि दे शुड बी अ नेशनल ऑप्टिकल फाइबर नेटवर्क, कि गाँव तक जो है फाइबर ऑप्टिक चला जाए, ऑप्टिकल फाइबर। उस समय था कि ग्राम पंचायत तक जाए, तो ग्राम पंचायत 2.5 लाख है हमारे यहाँ, गांव 6 लाख हैं, तो चलो 6 लाख में से 2.5 लाख तक तो पहुँचेगी फाइबर। वो भी अभी नहीं हुआ है बाय द वे। उसका पहला टारगेट 2014 था, फिर टाइमलाइंस हैव बीन एक्सटेंडेड, और अभी भी आप डीओटी की वेबसाइट पर जाके देख सकते हैं, अभी 2,68,000 के करीब हैं टोटल हमारे यहाँ ग्राम पंचायत, उसमें से 2,15,000 कनेक्टेड हैं, जो 40,000 से ज़्यादा अभी भी ग्राम पंचायत भी नहीं कनेक्टेड है। हालांकि अब हम बात कर रहे हैं कि हर गांव तक वो फाइबर चला जाए 2030 तक, तो लेट्स सी व्हाट हैपेंस देयर। लेकिन क्या हो रहा है इन सब चीज़ों में, हमारा जो पॉलिसी का जो रोल रहा है वो रहा है इंटरवेंशन फ्रॉम सप्लाई साइड, कि आपको मोबाइल का टावर लगा दो, उसके लिए वायबिलिटी गैप फंडिंग मिल जाएगी, और वहाँ पर आप फाइबर ले जाइए, उसके लिए वायबिलिटी गैप फंडिंग मिल जाएगी। अगर कहीं पर किसी गांव में ले जाने के लिए मान लीजिए 2 करोड़ का खर्चा आ रहा है, आपको लग रहा है कि आपका बिजनेस केस इज ओनली 1 करोड़, तो आपने जब उसके लिए बिडिंग की गई तो 1 करोड़ आपने बोला, किसी और ने बोला 80 लाख, किसी ने बोला 1.5 लाख, तो जिसने कम बोला है उनको दे दिया गया, ठीक है। लेकिन एक उसमें बहुत बड़ा चैलेंज कहा गया है कि डिमांड साइड क्या है। तो डिमांड साइड में जो लोग यूज़ करने वाले हैं, जिनके लिए आप ये सब चीज़ें कर रहे हैं, उनको पता है, कई बार पता होगा, लेकिन उनके पास डिवाइस है, बहुत बार नहीं है। उनके पास डिवाइस खरीदने के पैसे हैं, डिवाइस को मेंटेन करने के, डिवाइस को चार्ज करने के लिए बिजली है क्या उनके पास, क्योंकि टावर आपने लगा दिया उसके लिए जनरेटर भी लग जाएगा, डीजल भी आ जाएगा। लेकिन लोगों के घरों पे अगर जो डिवाइस है उस पर वहाँ पर वो चार्ज कैसे करेंगे, वहाँ पर लोगों को यूज़ करना उसे आता है या नहीं आता है। तो ये बहुत सारी चीज़ें वहाँ पर है कि डिमांड साइड के लिए हम लोग बहुत कम काम कर रहे हैं, उसमें सप्लाई साइड पर ही फोकस ज़्यादा है हमारा। रही बात, अब हम आते हैं कि रूरल यूथ या इन सब चीज़ों में, अब उसमें भी क्या है, जैसे जेंडरिंग की बात आपने बोली, यूथ की बात बोली, लेकिन जो डिजिटल डिवाइड, मैं इस क्षेत्र में करीब 30 साल से काम कर रहा हूँ, मेरा ये मानना है कि यस डिजिटल डिवाइड कम होना चाहिए, लेकिन ख़त्म कभी नहीं होगा। किसी न किसी प्रकार का डिवाइड रहेगा ज़िंदगी में, लाइफ में। दैट्स अ रियलिटी ऑफ लाइफ, बिकॉज इट्स यूटोपियन थॉट कि सब जगह सब चीज़ें बराबर नहीं हो जाएंगी। लेकिन क्या होगा कि कुछ हद तक चीज़ें बेटर हो सकती हैं, जो इनिक्विटी है वो कम हो सकती है और करनी भी चाहिए। हम लोगों ने जब इंटरनेट सर्विस स्टार्ट की थी उस समय बहुत कुछ लोगों को याद होगा, डायल अप मॉडेम होती थी, ची 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 करके आवाज़ होती थी, और अगर 4.5 5.6 kbps के ऊपर स्पीड मिल जाती तो हम बड़े खुश होते थे। मैक्सिमम स्पीड थ्योरेटिकली 56 kbps होती थी, और हिंदुस्तान की टोटल इंटरनेशनल बैंडविड्थ टोटल इंटरनेट की केवल 2 mbps थी उन दिनों, केवल 2 mbps। आज की डेट में घरों में या हमारे मोबाइल पर भी जो है हमको 20, 25, 30 mbps की स्पीड उस पर मिल जाती है। लेकिन जो भी चीज़ उस समय थी तब भी डिवाइड था, आज भी डिवाइड है। तब तो गाँव में बिल्कुल भी नहीं थी सर्विसेज, शहरों में ही नहीं थी ज़्यादातर। लेकिन एक फ़र्क है, उस समय हम लोग इंटरनेट सर्विस जब स्टार्ट हुई थी तो वी यूज्ड टू गो एंड सेल द इंटरनेट सर्विसेज जिनके पास पीसी था, जिनके पास कंप्यूटर था। 4 साल में सिचुएशन चेंज हो गई, लोग कंप्यूटर खरीदने लगे क्योंकि उनको इंटरनेट चाहिए था। आज की डेट में यही हो गया है कि आज की डेट में आप स्मार्टफोन के ऐड देखोगे, उसमें क्या आता है, डेटा स्पीड, स्क्रीन साइज और बैटरी, कैमरा, इनके बारे में बात करते। कोई ये नहीं बोलता था कि इसमें आवाज़ बहुत अच्छी आ जाएगी, कोई फ़ोन के बारे में बिल्कुल बात ही नहीं करता है स्मार्टफोन के बारे में आज की डेट में, क्योंकि स्मार्टफोन बहुत सारी और चीज़ें करने लगा है, हमको हेल्प कर रहा है जो हम और चीज़ें कर सकते हैं। लेकिन वो तब कर सकते हैं, जैसे डॉक्टर चतुर्वेदी ने भी बोला था और कुलटार ने भी बताया और योगेश ने भी एग्जांपल्स दिए, कि जब लोगों को ये पता है कि उसको यूज़ कैसे कर सकते हैं। अगर यूज़ नहीं करना चाहते हैं तो आप उसे अब्यूज़ तो कर ही सकते हैं। अब अगर मुझे ठीक से नहीं मालूम है कि मैं चक्कू को कैसे सही ढंग से यूज़ करूँ, तो मैं अपने आप को भी हर्ट कर सकता हूँ, दूसरों को भी हर्ट कर सकता हूँ। और वही चाहे किसी भी टेक्नोलॉजी में भी है, चाहे वो AI हो या कुछ भी हो। एंड फॉर मी फ्रैंकली, आई मीन AI इज़ नॉट अ न्यू टर्म, आई लर्नड इट व्हेन आई वाज इन IIT 3.5 decades बैक। तब से पता है AI है, नाम की चिड़िया है कोई, ठीक है, उसके नए नए पर निकल आए हैं, नए नए रंग आ गए हैं, वो अलग बात है। लेकिन अब क्या हो रहा है कि अब जो AI आज की तारीख में है उसको यूज़ करना बहुत आसान हो गया है एज ए यूज़र, स्पेशली आफ्टर द 30 नवंबर 2022 जब ChatGPT लॉन्च हुआ। अब उसकी वजह से ये हो गया है कि उसे यूज़ करना बहुत आसान हो गया है, और ऑब्वियसली यूज़ करना आसान है तो अब्यूज़ करना भी बहुत आसान हो गया है। चाहे आप किसी का डीप फेक बना रहे हैं, चाहे आप किसी की आवाज़ में कुछ कर रहे हैं, मजाक के लिए कर रहे हैं या किसी को नुकसान करने के लिए कर रहे हैं, लेकिन ये सब चीज़ें हो रही हैं। तो अब उस दृष्टिकोण से अगर हम देखेंगे तो हमें 2 चीज़ें बहुत इम्पॉर्टेंट हैं। पहली बात ये कि जो पॉलिसी के हिसाब से सप्लाई साइड मस्ट बी कॉम्प्लीमेंटेड विद द डिमांड साइड इनेबलमेंट, क्योंकि अगर हम डिमांड साइड पे कुछ नहीं करेंगे, केवल सप्लाई साइड करते रहेंगे, चाहे वो सिविल सोसाइटी हो, चाहे कॉर्पोरेट का CSR हो या गवर्नमेंट के कोई प्रोग्राम्स हो, वो आधा भी रिजल्ट नहीं देंगे। और दूसरी चीज़ ये है कि जो भी काम हम कर रहे हैं उसमें जो भी लोकल कम्युनिटी हैं, लोकल लोग हैं, उसको जब तक इन्वॉल्व नहीं करेंगे तब तक वो रिज़ल्ट उसके अच्छे नहीं मिलेंगे। आज से 45 साल पहले बहुत फेमस उस समय के फ्यूचरिस्ट थे, अभी कुछ साल पहले उनकी डेथ हुई, एल्विन टॉफलर। उन्हें 3 बड़ी फेमस किताब आई थी उनकी, फ्यूचर शॉक, पावर शिफ्ट और थर्ड वेव। तो वन ऑफ दोज बुक्स विच केम इन 1980, ही हैड कॉइन्ड अ फ्रेज कॉल्ड प्रोज्यूमर। उन्होंने कहा था ये भविष्य में क्या होगा कि लोग केवल प्रोड्यूसर और कंज्यूमर नहीं होंगे, साइमल्टेनियसली यू विल बी प्रोड्यूसिंग एज वेल एज कंज्यूमिंग। अभी भी क्या हो रहा है, हम लोग बोलते हैं डेटा कंजम्पशन, तो कंज्यूमर की तरह बात कर रहे हैं। लेकिन है क्या कि आज की डेट में ये सब जो डिवाइसेस वगैरह हैं, ये दे हेल्प यू टू ऑल्सो क्रिएट स्टफ। जैसे डॉक्टर चतुर्वेदी ने बताया, लोग चाहे रील्स बना रहे हैं, अब रील्स किस पर्पज से बना रहे हैं वो एक अलग इशू हो सकता है, बट रील्स बनाना इटसेल्फ आई डोंट थिंक इज़ अ बैड थिंग एज सच। और रही बात एजुकेशन की, हमारे यहाँ की ये मैं त्रासदी कहूँगा कि हायर एजुकेशन को हम बोलते हैं एम्प्लॉयमेंट के लिए. हायर एजुकेशन इज़ नॉट मेंट फॉर एम्प्लॉयमेंट. हायर एजुकेशन इज़ मेंट फॉर क्यूरियोसिटी, फॉर लर्निंग, फॉर नॉलेज. अगर एम्प्लॉयमेंट के हिसाब से देखा जाए तो जो जर्मनी टाइप का मॉडल है जहाँ अप्रेंटिसशिप है या इस तरीके की चीज़ें, वो करने से मेरे ख्याल में ज़्यादा हमको लाभ होगा, बजाय इसके कि हम हायर एजुकेशन को ही देखें एज ए मॉडल ऑफ एम्प्लॉयमेंट. बिकॉज इतने ज़्यादा लोग टर्शियरी एजुकेशन तक पहुँच ही नहीं पाते हैं, और मेरे ख्याल में उतने की ज़रूरत भी नहीं है शायद लोगों को, हर एक को जाने की उस काम के लिए. हाँ, जिनको वास्तव में कोई बहुत ज़्यादा क्यूरियोसिटी है पर्टिकुलर सब्जेक्ट में. और एक जो और चीज़ कही गई थी कि जिस चीज़ की पढ़ाई की गई उस चीज़ में आप काम कर रहे हैं, मेरे ख्याल में इस रूम में भी और बाहर भी काफ़ी हद तक ये बात सही है कि बहुत सारे हम लोग ऐसे हैं जिन्होंने जो इस चीज़ की पढ़ाई की वो वास्तव में हमारा उतनी प्रैक्टिस हम यूज़ नहीं कर रहे हैं. मैंने मेटलर्जिकल इंजीनियरिंग पढ़ी IIT में, लेकिन मैंने मेटलर्जी इंडस्ट्री में कभी काम नहीं किया. Arnav is sitting here. I'm sure that Arnav would have studied something which he might not have used much of that, and many other people like that. But what I find interesting is this. और कई बार लोग मेरे से पूछते भी हैं, तो मैं कहता हूँ कि in my IIT days, I studied very little in the classroom, but learnt a lot in the campus, in the city, in doing many other things. तो वो जो एक चीज़ है कि what is else that you can learn, which could be much more lifelong value, rather than the specific technical language which might become outdated very, very soon. So the one skill that I would actually, I don't know whether there could be any possible certification for that or not, is skilling for learning new things, but also unlearning some of the stuff that we have learnt earlier. So that's where I would like to stop here for the time being. Thank you.
Thank you. I think आपने जो बोला, I think that is something which was something that I would have wanted to ask you if we had the liberty of time, but meaningful access की बात कर रहे हैं. Sir, अभी we would like to have some more engagement from the audience. If there is any questions in the interest of time, we can take maybe one question. Yes. To the gentleman over there. Sure. So Anuj has asked, and this can be for all any of you who would want to respond it to, but particularly with Dr. Chaturvedi, what is an easy and effective way to deliver skill development in rural areas? And because there is a lack of basic infrastructure in such places as well. So what would be that one, if you could just talk about one easy and effective way?
One easy, effective way that India is a diverse nation. Every village, every district, every city has different kind of context. So we want to succeed in providing skill training. We need to assess the need, local need, assessment of need, district level. I have been involved in some skill training campaign at Mathura district, which is my hometown. And I knew that in Bareilly district, some assessment has been made that what kind of skill training will be most relevant according to the local economy, community needs. So one is we should prepare the document about the needs of skill training in all districts of our country. Number two, we have to use vernacular knowledge. Number three, we have to use available resources in every village, every town, which is lying unused, like schools, buildings are not used after 2 p.m., 3 p.m. Like a degree college building and resources, computer labs are not in use after 3 p.m., 4 p.m. Can't be used till 9 p.m. So, and we can use the power of a smartphone that anywhere, anytime content can be distributed. So, there is no fixed formula, there is no ready-made answer, but we have to think about what is the exact need of the industry at local, regional level. Job markets are not uniform in our country. In metro cities, whatever services are required may not be required in small cities. I know that one company is doing very well providing the manpower on demand at home, that is urban company. We are getting hair cutting facility, we are getting room cleaning, toilet cleaning facility, we are getting plumber facility, various kinds of facilities we are getting. But the paying capacity in metro is much higher than the villages. So there is no ready-made answer that everywhere the same formula, format, technology can be used. No, but surely the digital and telecom technologies may be immensely useful to provide learnings. And I think 8 billion people are having phone in their hands all over the world. It is creating a revolution. And the experience of Odisha, I think, very relevant. Subrato Bagchi, who has been the CEO, who has joined after leaving his plum job, he was CEO of Mindtree. He became the CEO of Odisha Skill Foundation, and he has done wonderful work by traveling to all the districts and meeting all the stakeholders, from smallest child or young person to the policy makers, and he has put the skill training on the agenda of the whole Odisha state. Even the foreign nations, people and companies came to Odisha to impart and to arrange the skill training. So I would like to say that there are no easy answers, but we have to think about the need of the hour, need of the future. We have to use all kinds of technology, and it is true that if you do not have power, internet cannot be used. So we have to be very mature to use the innovative way of delivering content and an innovative way of skill training.
Thank you, Dr. Chaturvedi. Sir, I would say in the interest of time, we would close this panel, but the discussions can go on during lunch as well. Just like to say and close that, at least if we have to take away one key thing, it is important to bridge the learning from, not only access, but capacity, and most importantly, capability. So I think with that, we'll close this panel. Thank you so much.
Thank you to all of our incredible speakers for such an energizing and future-facing conversation. If you could stay back so that you can receive a letter, a token of appreciation from TRI. Also, one thing is very clear. Skilling today is not just about certificates. It's about confidence, connectivity, and community-rooted opportunity. If we invest in skilling pathways that are place-based, tech-enabled, and inclusive, we don't just create workers, we build leaders. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Can we have another huge round of applause, please? As we approach the close of today's session, I'd now also like to invite Neeraj Ahoja, Associate Director at TRI, to share a few final reflections. Neeraj leads the Mass Rural Employability and Global Opportunity Youth Network program. He's committed to shaping the future of rural livelihoods, particularly of the youth. With his experience in employment, I'm sure that his reflections will provide us with clarity and direction. Over to you.
Thanks, Suhani, and thank you very much for stitching the entire day together. And wow, what a wonderful session we had. Two very critical sessions. So, as we come close to the end of today, we have another session, second session in ICNXC, that's invite only session, but this session comes to an end. So I just want to take a moment to reflect on not just what we have heard, but also what we have been building together in IRC. So today we traversed a very powerful arc. We discussed how we can reimagine CSR, which has become one of the most powerful forces in the country, shaping development in the country. How can CSR serve rural equity? How can we reimagine CSR? How can we make it more impactful? How can we count for every rupee that is being spent? And we had wonderful ideas and thoughts, and many important questions were raised. Then the second section covered on how do we unlock the next frontier for skilling, especially for our rural youth, given how we are seeing technology disrupting the way we have been functioning. Every 6 months we are seeing the artificial intelligence developing and doubling the capacity, and we are now seeing that we are going to be very close to artificial general intelligence. So with that, there would be a lot of challenge on the way we have been working, and especially rural young people who are our strength, who are the largest demographic we have. How can they cope with this, and they create possibilities and opportunities for themselves? So this is, ladies and gentlemen, what kind of we believe makes IRC special. You see, over the last week we have been talking about a lot of topics, and it is not just the range of topics that we cover, it is also the depth and the diversity that it brings, from policymakers to practitioners, from academicians to entrepreneurs, from young voices to veteran practitioners. So we were able to see, and we were able to get insights, the sharp questions that we saw, the bold ideas that emerged, and more than everything, the commitments that we saw were all encouraging and inspiring for us to act. Tomorrow is our final day, and again we have a very interesting session, a line of sessions lined up. Tomorrow we have senior bureaucrats, secretaries, and even former advisors to the prime ministers coming. We have very interesting sessions around how do we think about creating evidence for policy. How does policies can take decisions based on hard data. Then we'll be thinking about how do we look at restructuring the healthcare, the rural healthcare. And finally, we'll be celebrating one of the largest rural program, National Rural Livelihood Mission. There would be a book cover launch. There has been 15 years of journey of NRLM and the transformative impact it has created. So there would be a book cover launch also. We'll have senior people who have been behind this huge initiative coming and sharing their reflections of the last 15 years. So another very power-packed, very impactful and very insightful session, line of sessions lined up today for you. So at the end, again on behalf of Transform Rural India Foundation and our co-host, I would like to thank each and every one of you for not just attending, but also showing up with intent and inspiring us to take action together. Let's carry this spirit forward for IRC together tomorrow. And with that, I would thank all of you once again. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Neeraj, and thank you all. Today has been a powerful reminder that when data meets empathy and purpose meets partnership, transformation does indeed become possible. On behalf of all our co-hosts and the India Rural Colloquy community, thank you for showing up, speaking the truth, and staying committed to rural India's equitable future. We look forward to continuing the dialogue and, more importantly, the work. Thank you, everybody. Tea is being served outside if anybody wants it.